I'm excited today, boys. Kick it.
There's a lot to talk about.
There is.
Hey, we need some music.
We need it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen,
to another episode of Hardheaded. I'm excited about today, boys, because Matt has something on his mind and he has not shared with us yet. What
That makes me a little nervous is what it does for me.
that is. So I'm excited to hear this. What
So
is on your mind?
We're into February. And you know what that means?
Valentine's Day?
Come on, man.
Hallmark Day?
I don't know, man. What?
Cupid's got your
So
heart?
obviously,
winter. It's cold. It's windy.
I mean, no, because the shortest days are behind us, and now we're gaining some light every day. Apparently, I'm the only true deer hunter at this table.
I don't deer hunt in February. Lawbreaker.
Listen here, shed hunting.
Shed hunting.
Shed hunting.
Yes.
Planning for this season's food plots, getting everything ready to go for deer season. Deer season for me is basically 365 days a year. As soon as the extended season for antlerless ends in January, it's time to start planning.
You lost me at shed hunting, though. I'm okay with the planning and all that kind of stuff. Food.
Well, that's because you don't have any deer on your place.
No, I find sheds on my place, but it's just not this thing. Like, I'm a shed hunter. I'm getting dogs that find sheds.
I'm not getting dogs to find sheds. I know exactly where they're at.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm just not hunting then.
It's still a form of hunting.
No,
because you go out and you see.
No.
You go out and you find out what you didn't see.
Nope. Then like miners are hunters. Like you just can't. I'm going out to find like gems or gold. They're not hunters.
Yeah, I would consider them hunters.
Jeez.
If you're metal detecting, are you hunting?
I would say you're hunting for metal.
No.
Okay.
No.
Look at.
You're just doing everything you can to justify that shed finders people are hunters. I got nothing against it.
They're hunting for sheds.
It is in the category. If you like, I'm a shed hunter, you also hold up and hug mountain lions when you kill them, which is crazy too. Like it's a designer level of. It's not real world, man.
It's real. You know how much people get paid for those sheds that they find? It's insane. It's insane because then non-hunters don't have to hunt for them. But they buy them for their lodges, for their fancy lodges. And they're I want this lamp with some freaking deer antlers on it.
How much money have you made from all the sheds that you found?
My dog, antlers are fantastic as chew toys because they don't get soggy. They don't splinter. They don't smell. It's great. Yeah, it's great. And that's what I use. What I found, if they're not being used for decoration or a coat hanger or whatever, that's using for chew toys for dogs. And they actually sell them at like your Petco's and your PetSmarts and whatever. They do deer and they have elk antlers that they sell too. And like you could get a piece for that big for like $25.
$25?
I'm not kidding you.
It's a huge market.
Wow,
it's a huge. I mean, it's a extra income if you need it.
So I understand that. I go get some money, all this kind of stuff, but it's not a hunting season. Like I'm not a hunter.
Do you have to have a license or a permit?
No, you just walk around in the woods.
To hunt antlers.
You don't. No, and that's the funnest part.
That's the beauty of it. Free.
When you find one, you should hug it and take a picture of it like it's a mountain lion.
You don't hug antlers.
You hug mountain lions, apparently.
I don't hug. Well, I've never hunted a mountain lion.
Well,
you have to have a fur permit for a mountain lion, correct?
Okay. Trapping? I don't know. Well, they don't have that many in Kansas.
We don't have a season here for them.
No. Bobcats.
Yes.
You do have to have a
trapping.
fur.
You have to have a fur harvester license for that. Yes.
Yep.
Which I do have, and I think the season is actually now open.
All right. Now that I shunned the first thing that you said some good things that were after that. So your preparation for fall deer season of 2021 starts in February.
Yes.
So what do you do in February? What's the main thing?
I get out in the woods and I look for sheds.
But you know where they are.
So I know. Because I know.
Chet,
I know.
hunting. He's hunting.
Okay.
It's the only time of year that I go into the woods on my place, and because I know where the deer bed down.
Yeah.
There's 2 locations on my property where they bed down, and I know that I'm most likely going to find some sheds in there around those trees where it's real thick. So I know I'm going to find them in there. And then what that does is that tells me from the season prior, if I haven't seen that rack before, then obviously I've got some new deer that I just didn't come out of the woods when I was sitting.
Mm-hmm.
But it also lets me know that my management plan from the season prior, it lets me know if that's doing any good and what I need to adjust based on what their antlers are doing. So, when you put out a lot of different types of minerals, you end up with these little spikes and little knobs and stuff on the base of the antlers. It's a sign of an old deer a lot of times, but it's also a sign of a deer that's got a lot of minerals.
Yeah.
So it's fun to go and find that. And then obviously you're just out spending time in the woods when there's really nothing else to hunt. It's something to do.
Yeah. So do you put the little basket things to catch them, knock them off, all that kind of stuff on the trails?
No, I don't do any of that. I leave it all natural and let them fall where they may.
Okay.
Because then it's more of a hunt that way.
Yeah.
It's all about the hunt.
It's all about the hunt.
Walk on the established game trails, and hopefully you'll come across.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not hunting.
It's hunting.
I'm going to look on the ground and see if I find something interesting.
I'm going to be indifferent.
My dad and I used to go dig for arrowheads. In some
You used to go
places when I was
hunt
a kid.
for arrowheads. Yeah.
Oh, it's like, what do you do? I'm an arrowhead hunter. Yeah. Oh.
It's all basically the same type of people that are hunting and going and doing that type of stuff. I mean, it's that drive to find something or pursue something.
Okay.
I mean, look up what is the definition of hunt?
To seek out and kill?
Yeah. The dead antlers that fell off a deer.
You look that up, Troy.
I'm going to look this up for everyone listening.
We need a dictionary. It'd be quicker. Be like old Phil Robertson with his encyclopedias instead of using a cell phone.
The definition of hunt is to pursue and kill a wild animal for sport or food. That's definition number 1.
What's definition number 2?
It's a verb. Definition number 2.
We're not going beyond 2. We're not just going to keep looking at it until Matt says, ah!
Okay, so these are the verbs. So number 2 is search determinately for someone or something.
Boom. Told you. We don't even
desperately hunted for a new job. So technically, you can hunt for anything.
On the second level, second definition, okay.
Well, obviously the popular definition is what you thought it was, but it's just like it's like the name of the podcast here, Hardheaded. Everybody thinks that means stubborn, but that's not actually what it means. It means practical and realistic. I mean, it's the second definition under the
it's the first one.
Word. I think it's
most of them.
I think it was number 2.
Nope.
I have to look.
For what?
Hardheaded.
Practical and realistic?
It's the first one.
Oh, it's number 1.
Is it number 1?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And all but one of them.
Must have been the one that I looked at initially.
Which doesn't surprise me.
Mine are all just backwards. It's
so hold on here. I'm taking notes. So you go out and look for antlers that fell off of deer on the ground in February. You explore all of your woods to see traffic, whatever else, bedding areas, I'm assuming. When do you plant in March, April, or May?
I plant in March.
March.
Yeah.
What do you plant?
I can't let that be known. That's secret. That's proprietary information. I made the mistake this year when I was, or last year when I was hunting. And
hunting live deer or hunting antlers?
Actually hunting animals. Okay. And so the first definition. And I posted I posted a recording or a picture for most of my sits. And it's created a lot of interest, I guess we'll say. And I've got a lot of people wanting to now, hey, can I come and hunt? And it's like, nope,
nope,
absolutely not. But And that's mainly from a management standpoint. If I had a bigger property and I could do this for, hundreds of acres, I'd be more than happy to bring people out. But when you've got 40 acres and you're trying to manage a small property, you've got to limit the amount of people that can come in and take something. So definitely no bucks. I mean, anybody that comes gets, if they're lucky enough, Troy, they can get a doe. We won't. Should we tell Troy's story?
Today's not the day.
Let's probably not talk about that today.
But you need to be with them to make sure that they know what they're shooting.
Yes, Troy. The one time, basically, first non-family to come out, and
so we're gonna get into it. We're gonna tell the story.
Oh yeah, I got to tell it now. I can't leave the people wondering.
Yes.
So Troy wants to put some meat in the freezer. You better not push stop record on that thing when I'm telling this story.
Oh, it's good.
All of a sudden, there's going to be a camera malfunction. But Troy wants to come out and put some meat in the freezer. So I'm like, all right, come on out. And
shoot a doe.
Yeah, I was like, come on out and we'll, get you a doe. And I was like, you're literally going to be in the stand for maybe 30 to 45 minutes before you're done. And so he comes out with a bow from probably 1970.
Yeah.
It's probably the first compound bow that was ever made.
2004. Got it in 2004. No lie.
Did you buy it new in 2004?
Yes.
I don't believe that. But so anyway,
it was gifted to me.
And then he shows up with two arrows.
Two. All you need is one. But I brought two just in case.
Is that all you need?
All you need is one.
No, but is that all you need?
No, I probably need.
All one would need.
I need a full quiver.
But he needs a full quiver, but he shows up with two.
Yeah.
And goes out and I let him basically walk to the stand because he came out, and I was like, well, if you want to come, you're gonna have to come out and put up the tree stand and help me cut some limbs and get some stuff ready for you. And brought some of his kids out, just a portion of the crew, and I had my daughter out there and got it all set up, perfect setup. And he walks out, and I'm thinking, okay, looking at my watch, like, well, he should probably be done. And so, because it's been about 30 minutes, and I get a text. The text says, "Do you have any more arrows?"
Yeah.
I'm like, no. And even if I did, that's not how bow hunting works. My arrows are not going to fit on your bow.
Yeah. They could.
They'll fit, but they're not going to be accurate because it's not what was sighted in. And so I'm like, all right. Because, well, I shot a doe, but I can't remember what you said.
Spine shake.
I spined it.
Yeah.
And so it's just laying there, and it's heads up. I'm like, okay. I was like, shoot it again. It's like, well, I don't have any more arrows. So I'm like, it's like, do you have a knife? I was like, just climb down and cut its throat. I mean, get it out of its misery. So he's like, oh, I don't have a knife with me. And so I was like, all right, well, I got mine. So I hop in the Ranger and take off to go.
Pause. At what point in all of these happenings did you start texting me talking about how big of a disaster this was? Because I was getting text messages when this was going on.
Probably the moment that he said, do you have any more arrows?
Because you will believe that Troy just asked me if I have extra arrows.
Oh, it gets better, folks.
I think your first text was, if you were to go archery hunting, how many arrows, what are the minimum quantity of arrows you would have with you?
I think that's probably exactly what I text. Yeah.
And my response was
gosh.
3. Yeah.
Minimum. Yeah.
No, if I go out, because I know that I'm not a great bow hunter, I'm taking 5.
Yeah.
I'm taking everything that my quiver is going to hold. But so anyway, I get there and roll up. I was like, oh, he's like, I got it. It's dead. I was like, well,
yeah, I took care of business.
What'd you do? And he's like, well, I went and got one of my arrows because he missed with the second arrow. So he spined it with the first one and missed with the second one. He climbs down onto the stand, goes and grabs the arrow that he missed. knocks the arrow and shoots it again. But I don't know how far. He must have stepped back to like 20 yards and fired another shot. Because
Maybe that's where his bow was sighted in.
Maybe. But then he basically, he was successful in killing it, but he also hit the stomach.
Yeah.
So it's just laying there. It's not a moving target. And he hits the worst portion that you're able to hit. But at least the deer's out of its misery. It's dead. So I was like, man, it's a pretty small doe. I mean, this is like the first. I
like them young.
This is the first doe.
They taste better
that I've ever been able to pick up by myself and chuck with the guts and everything into the back of the Ranger. Like I just picked it up, set it in. I mean, it was the size of maybe a normal sized German Shepherd.
A whole fryer is
called.
Yeah.
They're about that big in Louisiana. I thought it was
true.
a big deer.
I can vouch for the size difference in deer from Louisiana to Kansas. Like a yearling in Kansas is about as big as a mature doe where Troy and I grew up. So I'll vouch for that part of it. The size, the body size. Now there's some features.
Now all of
features on a deer that would tell you that it's a young deer.
But all of that is void.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay, go for it.
Because he's texting me prior to that he saw this gigantic 8-point buck come out.
Well, that is true. I did see it.
And I
thought bucks were bigger than doe.
Yeah.
So ratio wise, yes, this would have been a gigantic buck, but we're talking maybe a 2-year-old 8-point is what came out. So, because I went back and I had to look at the camera to see if it was actually like this huge, gigantic deer that he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then he was telling me that there was a doe that was running through. I was like, okay, so you literally saw 3 deer and you picked the absolute smallest one to shoot.
He's not shooting bucks. Like
the smallest one, it came out and was sitting there for a while, eating by itself, and I said, "Well, I guess this is it."
And I'm going to jump forward a little bit because I checked the camera the next day after he'd left, and
it was impressive.
eight actual does showed up and were feeding right there. So
right after we left,
literally like 15 minutes after we took off, the group of does showed up
with the little baby deer
that
we got.
So anyway, I load this thing up, go back, and I'm like, well, I don't think that the processor is going to be open to. Well, actually, it would have been. But we went over and I was like, well, let's gut it real quickly. Because I was like,
and Troy's like, already started with my arrow.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, well, and because of that, I was like, we need to get those guts out quick because that's going to spoil that meat if we leave that in there. So I run it back and I, get it on the back of the Ranger and I start cutting. And as soon as I spread those legs, what do you think I see? A little set of nuts. So not only did he come out and shoot with only 2 arrows, miss one, injure it with one, finally killed it with the 3rd one, but
he shot a buck when he was only allowed to shoot does.
Now, granted, it was antlerless, even though it was in regular deer season. I think it was mid.
There weren't even buttons. There was.
I think it was right after rifle season.
Maybe a little knot or two.
Yeah.
That you could not see.
I was cracking up I was getting live text feed from Matt on this whole time.
So anyway, but that's why I'm very picky about who comes out because I thought I could trust.
Everybody has this kind of thing.
I thought Troy had actually hunted
You're
before.
You're welcome. Yeah. Matt, you are welcome. That's just going to keep people from asking to come out.
Yeah. Now here's the, for some perspective, the deer came out at 44 pounds.
The whole thing? Or after?
No, it's even worse. After it was all processed, Troy took home a whopping 22 pounds of meat.
22 2 pounds of meat.
Milk-fed meat.
Hey, I won the award at the processor for bringing the smallest deer ever. And she pretty much laughed at the size of the deer.
Oh my gosh.
Most embarrassing story ever. Hunting.
Well, either way, at least your family enjoyed it because your wife said that it was
the best meat she's ever had.
So that was a couple years ago, a couple seasons ago. Last season, I happened to do not the same thing as far as too few arrows, missing the shot, all that kind of stuff. But I did kill a button buck and thinking it was a doe. And I fessed up right away.
I will give you that. At least you fessed up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm in
then
Troy's camp now. I can't pick too hard.
Hey, our buddy Steve.
Yeah.
Steve Peoples. I mean, he went to Kentucky and killed 3.
Yeah.
3 buttons in one sit.
I'm telling you. And I had my glass on it. And I'm like, I'm looking because I knew it was a younger deer. Like this, I'm not going to shoot it if it's a buck. I'm not going to shoot it, And I was looking at it through my binoculars and everything. And I'm like, oh, it's still a doe. And then what I thought was she just kept hanging around. And my standards go down over time. If a deer's in front of me for a lot, I gotta get to, you start having that mental debate. Well, man, yeah, I think it's going to be a shooter now.
I think some backstrap tonight would be pretty good.
I will say it is funny how much bigger they get the longer you look at it.
Oh yeah.
I'll give you that. I
did look at that little one. I did look at Bambi for about 20 minutes or so before I shot it.
You're not too far off because I think there might have still been some spots.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I get it. I mean, and I was so paranoid with you shooting one and Troy shooting a button and then Steve shooting all those buttons that he shot.
I'm not even shooting a doe this year. Yeah.
And I was like, I am not going to let that happen to me. I mean, and I'm sitting, probably 85 to 100 yards, where these deer come in, and I am on that scope. Because I'm zooming in with that scope, making sure when they put their head down, and I'm not afraid to let a deer walk. I mean, I'll let them walk all day long, but
right.
Yeah. So I was pretty nervous. And then the one I got was actually this year was a small doe. I mean, she was 2. But she was a small doe.
Yeah.
But
cool.
So that's what's on my mind. I'm pretty excited for
the start of deer season.
The start of deer season.
February. It's the start.
Because it's a year-round thing, man.
I hear you.
Year-round thing.
All right.
Nice.
If you want, I will allow you to come hunt my property for sheds. If you want to shed hunt. If you need more property to shed hunt.
Well, I've seen your trail camp pictures.
Yeah.
I just don't know if those sheds are going to be there.
You think I show you everything I've got?
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
All right. Well, before we move on to top 3, I would like to take a special moment here to say thank you to our sponsor.
Oh, yeah.
Admiral's Pennant.
Ooh, yes.
Right here. The best beard oil that you can purchase. Go to admiralspennant.com. There you go. Check that out.
Because I bought it.
He did. And he sells it.
And nobody had owned it yet.
Oh, very good.
Because that's pretty annoying when people purchase websites and then they just sit on them and they don't do anything with them, but then they want to charge you an arm and a leg to buy them.
I'm good with that.
That's annoying to me.
No.
That's annoying.
That's prospecting. That's like
hunting
websites. I'm hunting domain names. What's our top 3 today, Troy?
I would actually consider that poaching.
Oh, okay.
Poaching web domains.
Top 3 today are the top 3 lessons learned in 2020.
Ooh.
Yeah. Top 3 lessons learned from 2020.
Well.
So, Chet, what did you learn last year in 2020?
All right.
Because I think there was a lot to be learned.
Lot to be learned. I'm not going to go in any particular order. I don't have them ranked per se. One of the things that I learned was herd mentality is extremely powerful. More powerful than I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that.
The Marine Corps is actually proof positive of that.
How so?
Herd mentality.
Help me out.
Embellish.
I'm not going to embellish. I'm just going to tell the truth. But you get so wrapped up. Let's take a haircut, for example. If every Monday, every Sunday night, you're supposed to go get a haircut so that you have a fresh haircut for Monday morning. Now, now that I'm retired, is it really that big of a deal to have, if your hair is still looking good, it's not technically out of regulations.
Right.
Why does it matter? But
I
no,
gotcha.
the herd mentality, everybody jumps on you. Oh, you didn't get a haircut, blah, blah, and then you get yelled at and everything, gets turned upside down over a haircut. And I think it's kind of the same thing with herd mentality that happened in 2020. It's you're not doing this, and so you're basically the detriment of this society. In the Marine Corps, it's you're the detriment to this platoon. You're nasty. Whatever.
Even though they have regulations, if you're not going with what the herd's saying you should go with, even though you meet them, though you meet the regulations, you're causing everything to go bad.
Yes,
that's exactly what I learned from 2020. We'll leave it on the Marine example. The other one is similar. I kind of bundle this up at the extreme lack of leadership that exists. I didn't know it was as bad as it was. And I will get a little bit into this. And if the biggest thing that 2020 was focused on was reducing the attempt to reduce the impact of the coronavirus, and we're not going to look at any other negative impacts of that. So, and I think that was because, lack of leadership and the fact that we're so risk averse of going against the herd mentality that we're just going to allow everything else to happen. Suicide rates to almost double, lack of preventive care going on in our medical industry because people are too scared to go outside. So
I don't want to go to the ER. I'm definitely going to get sick if I go to the ER, even though this issue that I have right now is more pressing than a virus. Yeah.
So our leaders and I think our people in positions of power, because I think there's a total lack of leadership by the people in positions of power. Almost to the point you can't call them a leader, right?
Right.
That they were so scared of saying, hey, let's have some common sense about some certain things, and that there are other people groups that are at risk of things that aren't necessarily virus related, that we need to stop this singular focus and start taking a bigger picture look at things and have conversations, and let's open up discussions and see how we can help folks. There was just none of that. Absolutely none of that in our local community that I know of. You could see some sparse views of that around the country where some people did it, but it was single digit, right? Few and far between. And so that was pretty astonishing to me on how little people wanted just to stand up and say something that had a little risk with the conversation. So that would be my number two of the top three. Not necessarily ranked. And then the third one, a little bit along those same lines, but not necessarily. Reaching out to others is extremely powerful. And I know I'm one of the people, but I know a lot of people that lost their job in 2020, and a lot of people lost loved ones in 2020. Just a year of loss for folks, and there's still some remnant of that going on even today. And just picking up the phone or getting on some social media platform and just reaching out and saying, hey, how are things going? What can I do to help? Or, hey, let's get together for breakfast. Those kinds of things, I think carry a lot more weight than what I thought they did. So that would be a lesson I learned in 2020 as well, is that reaching out just to check in with somebody is a lot more powerful than I thought it was.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll go next because my third one kind of jives with that, especially during the lockdown of 2020. We just realized the value in our just closest neighbors that we have. So when the lockdown happened, it was right after spring break, so none of our kids went back to school, but all of our kids, there's like 19 kids on our street.
Right.
All of our kids have been playing together. So as parents, we came together and said, well, are we going to just lock everybody up? I mean, we've been playing together for a week. There's no symptoms. Everybody's looking good. So we were just all decided together, no, we're just going to let the kids play.
Yeah.
And we did, and everybody was healthy and got through it, and nobody ever got sick. But just that camaraderie we had together as
like
neighbors. Community.
A true community.
It was a true community. We had cookouts and everything. So that was our biggest lesson, or one of the biggest lessons we learned, is just to find your closest neighbors and community and just live together. It's awesome. And it's still going today. So number 2, and these are in no particular order for me as well. The government is more corrupt than I imagined, and do not trust them. Yeah. So, just through all the election of 2020 and just from both sides of the coin, just really just showed their colors, I think, and not going into a lot of detail of everything, but just kind of just gives me a sick feeling when I think about it. And my wife even had to tell me one day to quit, to like get off Twitter, because it was just putting me in a bad mood.
Right.
Yep.
So lesson learned. I get like a weekly email about politics, and I get my 1 week's of current events, and then I move on.
Yeah.
And that's about all I can take now.
I had a buddy of mine years ago convince me, and I still believe it. And we could have a big argument about it or whatever, but a political party, no matter what it is, wants power more than anything else.
Yes.
And I don't care what side of the political party that you're on. The powers that be in that party want power, control, whatever word you want to put in there, more than they want to help anybody. I mean, it's more important for them to have power.
Yeah. And I honestly think having a person like Trump in the office for 4 years really showed that to his truest color, because he wasn't really
part of either party.
Right. Yeah. But he got elected, and both parties
they were upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, crazy. So, and then number 1 is a lighthearted one, but cornhole is a great way to pass the time.
Absolutely.
Wasn't really a cornhole fan, because down in the South where I'm from, we played washers.
Yes.
But during the lockdown, we played a lot of cornhole with the neighbors. The kids even got in. We played little tournaments, and it was just a great way to pass the time.
And it's a professional sport now.
Yes, it is. And those guys.
I was actually shocked, because I figured based on Troy's top 3 sports, I figured that would have had to be on his list with roller derby, and what else did you have?
That was sports to watch.
Yeah, sports to watch, sports to play.
But
cornhole be up there.
Yeah. So cornhole, it was kind of funny, because I was flipping through the channels, and it was like, it was almost like I was watching the movie Dodgeball. It's like on ESPN Ocho or something. And I'm flipping through, and then there all of a sudden is a cornhole tournament. I'm like, and there's actually a crowd, and I'm like,
yep.
Okay, I guess that's what we're doing now. It's like, maybe I can become a professional athlete now.
Dude, those guys do not miss.
They do. Oh, I just watched a tournament this past weekend, and they're there's some that are like, oh, I'm going to airmail this one in and knock 3 bags in while I'm doing it. And they do it. But there are also other ones that are like, okay, there are other people that can get in this professional circuit as well.
All I'm saying,
and both are a lot better than me. I'll just go ahead and say that right now.
All I'm saying is, I'm liking my odds. Old, fat, no legs. This is something that I can compete and potentially get really good at.
If you practice. I watch those guys play, and I'm like, I'll just sit here and watch. I don't even need to get involved.
We get pretty competitive up in Alaska. We get Winterwear Outdoors has that trip up there, and there's no TV, no cell phones, no nothing. And so one of the ways after dinner that we pass the time is have cocktails and play cornhole.
Yeah,
nice.
So, yeah,
that's awesome.
It gets really competitive.
Yep. Well, cool.
All right, Matt, what are your top 3?
Well, my top 3. And I'm going to follow the trend of not really in any particular order, but just when I sat down, because I actually did somewhat of some preparation this week, was,
Wow.
I know, right? Like if you
That's
see,
shocking.
like I actually have this printed out and then I've got little notes typed up. But one of the lessons that I learned in 2020 is what is actually essential.
That's a good one.
And, you know, whether it be from a business perspective or from a family perspective, you know, what our kids actually need. And, you know, it was just kind of funny to me, the things that the government deemed was essential, but what is actually essential.
Yeah.
And, you know, because I think it was not considered essential for those kids to be in schools. Like, oh, we got to pull them out and we got to basically hole up and not go anywhere, not do anything. But those interpersonal relationships, like you were talking about, reaching out to somebody, talking to somebody, I think that we found that those were extremely essential, especially because of the unknowns, because there in the beginning, we didn't know how bad this actually was. Right. Whether whether your opinion on that has changed or not over the last, 9 months or so, it doesn't matter. Right. But it just comes, I think it just comes back to those relationships and spending time with family was important, because that's basically what you were relegated to there for a while. Yeah. But those kids need those interpersonal relationships. They need those social skills. And I feel pretty bad for those kids. And again, on a previous podcast, I talked about our school district and how spectacular they have been through this whole thing. And so I think, I there for a while maybe underappreciated educators, but I definitely appreciate their ability and their fortitude in our school district and what they've been able to do. Yeah. So that's one of the items is looking, I guess, personally, at what is actually essential. I also learned that, so I guess number 2 would be that fear controls many. I've seen so many people just outright terrified of everything. Yeah. Whether it be going out without a mask or whether it be going out with a mask, just terrified in one form or another. And, biblically, that's not how we're supposed to live. I can't remember the exact word count of how many times it says be bold. Yeah. Do not be afraid. Mm-hmm. Obviously we're going to take precautions.
No doubt. We're going to masks, if you will, whatever. But at the same time, don't be consumed by fear.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't be afraid to go out and live your life, because that's what you're missing out on. I mean, that's what we're here for, is to live life. And if we're shut down and not able to go do anything, right, what are we here for? Mm-hmm. So, and I really took that to heart, trying to understand other people's fear, because I don't have those same fears, I guess. And so it taught me to be maybe for somebody that's not compassionate, or not as compassionate as they should be. Really?
Who would say that you're not compassionate?
But it was just it was hard for me, because I've got some family members that are on the complete opposite end of the spectrum for me on this whole issue, and trying to understand their point of view and respect their point of view, and seeing things from all sides. And so that was one of the big lessons I learned, is to be more open to hearing other people's opinions. And
that's critical, because one of the things I think that upset me more than anybody's opinion in 2020 was the lack of respect for anyone else's opinion.
Yes.
Yeah. The lack of respect was just, it was overkill. I mean, if you don't agree with me, you're an idiot. I hate your guts.
You should die.
Both sides. Yeah. I mean, good gracious.
Yeah. I mean, and I did see it from both sides, and I consider myself more of a middle of the road type of person. I mean, my whole position was I personally don't believe in masks. I don't think that they work. I mean, now I've read some studies that point me to make that decision.
Yep.
as well as talking to my friends in the medical fields. Now, of course, my friends are my friends, and they're my friends for a reason, right? Because we share common views and opinions.
Right.
So trying to reach outside of that and learn from other people's perspective.
And not to be upset with somebody that wants to wear a mask.
Hey, I'm cool. I'm all for
Knock
it.
yourself out.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but afford me that same respect, you know? So as being more middle of the road, because I don't believe in masks, that doesn't mean that I'm going into a store and I'm going to be a complete jerk.
Right.
And just, I'm going to barge my way in here and just do whatever I want. I mean, even for you, I think you can vouch for that, because I'll send you into a store because
he did.
You don't mind wearing a mask. So I'll be like, hey,
we
Chet.
got a hold of a bad batch of masks as well here at the office.
Yes.
You know, I don't know how the blue surgical masks, I don't know how they tack them down.
I think it's just glue.
Whatever. But one of them was a weak joint. I mean,
On every mask in the box?
every mask in the box. And Matt I've seen it. He walked into a store, like the first store you had to go into, one of them.
Yeah.
I know you had to take a flight where you had to wear a mask, but
Yes.
like the first time that he went into a store that I saw, because he's like, I'm just not going into stores because I don't want to wear a mask. He's like, I'm going to abide by the rules by not going in, right? Which 100% okay with. But then he was like, hey, can you run in and get some lunch? And can you well, then, so we went into this store and he walked in with his mask on. He knew this was going to happen after the fact. I figured this out because he had one of those masks out of that box. He walked in holding the mask, looked over and made eye contact with one of the workers inside the store, and goes to put it on and snap, it pops right off. And he's like, oh no, you know, like, what do I do now? and the guy in the store is like, oh, you're fine, man. You don't have to wear it. You know, we understand. We'll wear them here, but we're not going to say anything if you're not. He's like, oh, well, hey, man, I was going to wear one, but
like,
it just broke.
do you have one? And they're like, oh no, don't worry about it. And I was like, oh, well, see, and that's two groups coming together in agreement.
Yeah.
Right. So
I made an effort. It broke.
yeah, I mean, and
Can I still shop here? Sure.
now, unfortunately, now you're talking about the flight that I took, and that was the flight to Alaska, and it broke on my second leg
Yeah.
because those surgical masks are actually easier to breathe in than any of the other materials. And so I prefer to wear those if I have to.
Mm-hmm.
But no mask in general is fine by me. And if I can get people to do my bidding and go in and get my stuff for me, I prefer, yes. he's gone into more than one store for me.
All food related, though.
Basically all food related.
Yeah.
Very good.
So moving on to number 3, which kind of coincides with the whole mask issue and my
Top 3 lessons learned from 2020.
dislike wearing them, is curbside pickup is awesome. And I am so happy that more stores are affording the curbside pickup, because I can sit online or I can call, I can get something ordered. Hey, I'm in parking lot 4 or parking space 4. They come out, deliver to you, sign your little receipt,
Yeah.
and you're gone.
Yeah, curbside's been around for a while, but 2020
Not-
really ramped
not
it
to
up.
this scale.
Yeah,
to this
It
scale.
got ramped up for sure.
So I don't like dealing with people on most days anyway. So
Especially in the morning.
the morning is the worst. Yes, I'm terrible in the morning. I mean, I think, so Chet and I both work at People's Orthotics and Prosthetics, and the workday technically starts at 8. I typically show up around 9:30-ish most days.
Ish is being liberal with the word ish.
But I'll tell you, because I'm not going to be productive anytime before
I
that.
bet most days you're probably rolling over at 9:30 thinking you need to get up.
Well, it's a good thing.
No, it takes me 45 minutes to get to work, so I'm at least up by 8.
It's a good thing I shot that deer in the evening.
Oh,
He would have murdered you.
it would have been a very bad day for you. No, it takes me, I don't know. It just takes me a while to get functioning in the morning, get the brain going and get it functioning. And I'm fine when I'm by myself, but I have to ease into being around people in the morning.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter when that morning starts. But anyway,
All right.
curbside pickup has been awesome, with the exception of one. Watch when you go to get groceries.
Mm-hmm.
Because my my freezer, well, the power went out at deer camp before deer season. And so I was like, I didn't know that until I was out there because I got wild, my family and I eat wild game. That's all we eat. And all of my meat in the freezer had gone bad. And I was like, well, shoot, now I got to go shopping because I need to get some stuff to eat for the weekend. And I put my order in at the store, show up, get all my goods. They throw it in. I'm like, man, this is so nice. Not even have to be able to get out of the truck. And they load it for you too. I don't have to carry anything.
Yep. And then you get out to where you're going and then you open all that stuff
then
up.
I drive back and I open it up and I had ordered some cube steak or stew meat.
Yeah.
And the use by date was the day that I picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like use by or freeze by today. I was like, okay.
Guess what we're having for dinner tonight?
So yeah, I froze it.
They
and then,
get you.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, they don't care as much about the quality of the food that you get. They're just filling an order.
They also substitute like crazy. Like,
yeah,
and I've seen the shoppers. We've basically gone to the grocery store, still done our own shopping the whole time. And I've been there with the people that are shopping for those pickup orders, and they don't take any time in the area to find the brand that you want or the quantities in the bag that you want. And they just
grab and go
substitute the
Now,
heck
see,
out
I
of it.
think that could be an entrepreneur. If someone out there had an entrepreneurial spirit, could become a professional shopper.
Oh, dude, there's out there. That's already there. Probably not in Wichita, but you go.
Oh,
to
it's got to be all the coasts.
It's huge. It's huge. Oh, Dallas, Houston. I guarantee you, there's stuff out there.
Either way, if somebody had that idea here locally, that you could hold accountable for those decisions.
How much you paying?
Me? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it would be worth. I have to come up with an hourly rate there.
Yeah,
maybe $15 an hour. Because it wouldn't take you more than an hour to get all my stuff when it's already laid out. This is what I need.
I don't know.
But anyway, curbside pickup is awesome. Delivery is awesome. I'm all about it because I don't have to go in and break anybody's mask rules, and I can still maintain my
lifestyle
of
lifestyle.
preferring not to wear masks. But so yeah, those are my top three from 2020.
Right on. What a year. I think we're all happy to be behind it.
Yep.
Or in front of it.
Whatever.
And yeah, we're in front of it now.
All right, Chet, bring us a good word for the day.
All right, I got a little parenting advice for us today.
Oh, I'll take some.
Say yes to the small stuff, parents. I don't know. I was thinking back on some of the interactions I had with my dad when I was a kid. Just kind of thinking about what I need to do for my kids to be a better dad and all this kind of stuff, and then what's important. And we do a whole lot for our kids. I know all of us do. Trying to give them the right opportunities, the right whatever, all the activities. But I was thinking back about what mattered to me as a kid, and some of the nervous times that I felt. I never went, hey, Mom, can I do this, and if she ever responded with ask your dad, maybe a 50-50 shot that I would even go approach him to ask him, because you always would get hammered. I would, oh, why do you want to do that, those kind of things. But the occasional time that he said yes, was a big deal. And I was thinking, well, what can I do to make sure that I'm saying yes more? And I had a pretty good example. We got to go hang out with my brother-in-law, my other brother-in-law, my sister's husband, Joel, after the holidays. And he is a big kid. Loves to do all kinds of crazy stuff. And he just says yes a lot. So I think about the memories that my kids get when we're hanging out with them. One of the ones is awesome. Built a homemade rocket. And I'm not talking, we went to a hobby store and bought model kits, like literally PVC pipe, made our own solid rocket fuel, and like built a rocket.
Nice.
Like, it's awesome. But those kinds of things, I'm thinking, if my son came to me and said, hey, I learned on the internet how to build a rocket. Like, you're crazy. We're not doing that. And next thing you know, that happens at my brother-in-law's house, and we're in the garage with some kitty litter and some stump remover and some sugar, and we're lighting that stuff on fire here in 20 minutes. So just kind of looking back on that, like, as to be a better parent, I think it's saying yes to some of those things, the essential stuff, right?
Yeah.
That Matt was talking about earlier. Those little events, I think, especially when they start to add up, matter a whole heck of a lot between your relationship with your kids, that are going to make a lasting impact on them and their relationship with their kids, and pass all the way that on down. So,
good advice.
I would agree. I had something similar come up this weekend, and it was kind of shocking to me that. So my oldest is into figure skating, and she's extremely good. And I don't know, as a guy who's never even really, I've been ice skating maybe once in my life.
Yeah.
Don't know anything about it, but her instructors, are saying, she's really, really good. She's progressed faster than any student that I've ever had in, 30 plus years of doing this. And wanted her to go compete down in Tulsa.
Yeah.
And so, of course, there's costs associated with that, getting down to Tulsa,
right,
to go to this competition and staying overnight. And then she needs special skates, which I didn't.
Right.
I mean, I thought ice skates were ice skates.
Right.
Figure skating skates with when you're doing doubles and when you're doing jumps apparently are different.
Triple sow cows.
Something. I don't know, but maybe
have different teeth.
I watched the Winter Olympics.
They have different teeth on the end of them or something, right?
I still don't know.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea. All I know is that there's only 4 places that are within driving distance that you can get these skates. So we either have to make a trip to like Kansas City, Colorado Springs.
I would put Colorado Springs not within driving distance to buy skates. I'm just saying.
Apparently there's somebody there that has the top of the line, the best ones.
Okay.
Right. So,
did you drive to the Colorado Springs this weekend?
Not yet.
Oh, you're going.
We're going to figure it out. It's whatever my wife wants to drive to.
Yeah.
And then go down to Tulsa and compete. But she was, it was come in and go ask your dad.
Yeah.
And so she came in and she's like, my skating instructor
very timidly
wants me
yeah.
to, wants to know if I can go and compete in the competition down in Tulsa.
Right.
I'm like,
what do you need to go to Tulsa for? You can compete
I
with
I was like, well, when is it? And what are the fees associated with it? What's the cost?
Right. Give me your business plan.
And she told me, and I was like, well, it's not bad. And I go, I've got enough hotel points built up that we can stay pretty much anywhere overnight and not really pay anything. So I was like, yeah, why not? Let's go do it. And she was so excited.
Immediate. So the minute of the question versus the minute after your answer.
Yeah.
Completely different kid.
Yeah. And it for my daughter, she's kind of I've been labeled a flatliner. So I don't really get emotional up here. I don't get emotional down here. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of steady across the board. But I could tell that she was extremely excited. And then she came back from practice, I think the next day, and then came in, gave me a hug and said that was from my instructor for letting me go.
Nice.
So I was like, all right, good, know, but little things, right?
Yeah.
It's in the long run, it's probably not, it's not the Olympics.
Yeah.
But something that is,
my dad cares about me. My dad's
it's near and dear to her. And for me to show her that I support that, I think is important. So yeah, I would agree.
Well, good
That's
deal.
Awesome.
All right.
Let's
wrap this thing up.
Let's do it. Well, have some outro music or something?
We do have some outro music. Are you going to read us out?
Yeah.
Do you have it written down? You got it in memory?
Got it in memory.
Let's butcher this.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, ladies and gentlemen, to Hardheaded. the ultimate podcast that you can listen to on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all of your podcasting outlets. You can also see us on YouTube. If you want to see us live in action, check us out on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. Ring that bell so you can get updated when we release more content.
Subscribe has to be the hardest word.
Subscribe.
Subscribe.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
We'll see you next week. We're out.